Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the brand new 2020 teen drama coming of age LGBTQ story. The half of it. This is a Netflix original. Ali Chu. I forgot her name. She wrote, directed, and produced this film. Leah Lewis is the main girl, Ellie Chu, and his name's right next to me. Daniel Deemer, he plays the character of Paul Munsky. Dan's interesting because he looks and acts exactly like Evan Peters, but like a young Evan Peters and a more awkward Evan Peters, if that makes any sense. Evan Peters is an amazing artist that he is. So to have those similarities is pretty big shoes to fill, I must say. This is an interesting film. This is a very important film because it definitely shows LGBTQ representation in a positive light. It is also important because it is another main character who is not white. She is Asian. She is Chinese. She speaks Mandarin in this Squamish town in, middle of nowhere America. It's important because representation matters. It's not a thing that we see. It's not a thing that we used to see all the time. Everyone is getting bored of white main character and white main character interacting with another white main character and another white main character. Or two white main characters interacting with two white secondary characters. You need flavor. You need representation of different cultures and backgrounds. So I'm happy that various Asians are getting their due credit, whether it is South Asia, Central Asia, Eastern Asia, West Asia. Asia's massive. There's a lot of different Asians that need to be represented, especially too within any Pacific Islanders as well. Representation is very slim, so it's it's important that these creators who are not Caucasian are getting their due chance to tell their stories, to write a story, to direct a story, to produce a story. I feel terrible that I can't remember the woman's name who this is her story, and she created all this for Netflix. But all the credit to you, as well as all the actors and actresses. So this story is about Ellie Chu. She writes papers for the kids in her high school. This kid, Paul, he's on the football team. He's not dumb, but he just can't articulate. He can't put to words what he's feeling. And he likes this girl, Aster. Aster is dating, one of the most popular guys in all of Squamish. His name is Trig. And Ellie actually has a crush on Aster. So she accepts Paul's offer of writing a love letter for Aster because she herself is starting to feel these things and she's trying to figure out what those are. So she's pretending for Paul and Paul's pretending for her, basically, to trick this girl Aster. And then at the very end, there's this whole hilarious revelation in the church. This is a very small town, right? So church is quite important. The Christian Bible, it's the thing. Of course, there was a gays going to hell moment, and I was very mad. But it was resolved afterwards. Love who you want, stuff of that nature. This was a very poetic film. I'm telling you, that church scene of everybody gasping was just so hilarious and forced, but hilarious. I thought it was a good laugh because this is a lot of drama to this. When I first saw the beginning of the trailer for it, I thought it was going to be kind of like All the Bright Places with Elle Fanning and Justice Smith. But this is not All the Bright Places. This is a totally different spectrum of All the Bright Places versus the half of it. Totally different. This film, the half of it, is super indie. And it's very poetic. It is an art piece. So you have to watch it like that. You can't watch this film like you're watching a blockbuster film. This is not a blockbuster film. This is an indie film. So when you get in that indie mindset, that art piece mindset, it's great for what it is. Parts dragged, they did, but it did tell a nice poetic story and everyone getting a resolution and, Ellie standing up for herself, kissing Aster in the middle of the street kind of a thing. And people are questioning, these are middle America folk. I live on Long Island. I could throw a rock and hit 20 different people with the same rock. That's how close all these houses are together. So I had a graduating class of like 2,300 or something like that. Ridiculous amount of people. But I live in a metropolis. I live on Long Island. I live in, the New York City area. I'm not a part of the 5 boroughs, but it is the tri-state area. It's massive. There's a shit ton of people on this island. So I will never experience the middle of America bit. So it was nice to see this middle of America bit, throw in a gay story, and throw in a person who is not a person of color story. Because Ellie and her father are from China. She moved there when she was 5, I think she said. Her mom passed away. Her dad is an engineer who has a PhD. But I liked how she explained it. The PhD in China doesn't translate into America if you can't speak English well. And I thought that was unfortunate, but it's true. There's a lot. I used to work in hospitals. I worked with medical students all the time, and a lot of the medical students I worked with were adults from other countries who already have their doctorate, but the doctorate that they got in another country means absolutely nothing when they get to America. And that's stupid, because they're like doctors, you know? So like, they know what they're doing. I assume it's more, I mean, I get it that they have to train and practice the American ways for legality reasons, but it's still dumb. Like, why am I having to teach a 60-year-old man from India who knows exactly what he's doing? Why do I have to grade a 60-year-old man from India who knows exactly what he's doing because he's been doing it for 30 years in India? It was weird. I felt so bad for everyone just because it was unnecessary. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of money. It was a waste of time, and it was a waste of money for them because they're smart and they deserve to be able to practice what they know how to do. So with this aspect, it kind of touched a personal chord on her dad's front because I experienced that in a teaching perspective. It's weird. America's weird. The United States is weird. I give it that. So yeah, there's my rambling. The half of it. It's pretty neat. It's a very calm story. It's dramatic, but it's calm. There was no murder. There was no scandalous who's sleeping with who and who's pregnant at 16 and who's popping out a baby at prom. None of that high school stuff. This was middle America high school stuff. So that's it. That's all I got. Have you seen the half of it? What do you think? You agree with me that Dan is exactly like Evan Peters, but just an awkward version. Still great, but just an awkward version of Evan Peters. It's my own little reference of this. Yeah. Mucho mahalo.